Happy Canada Day from Sports Catastrophe and the Cutter Historical YouTube channel. Hey there, hi there, ho there, it's Jeff Cutter and welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe on this day. And on this day, July the 1st, it's a big day in Canada because it's Canada Day. We were born in 1867, splitting off from the English in a sense. But anyway, on Canada's 130th birthday in 1997, the Toronto Blue Jays and the Montreal Expos would face each other in a matchup of epic proportions. As many people know that the Expos and Blue Jays were the two Canadian Major League Baseball teams. Well, we're down to one because the Expos moved to Washington in 2005. Black. Thanks a lot, Bud Selig. Anyway, so the Expos and Blue Jays were set to face each other. They would actually have faced each other back in the early days, between 1978 and 1986. It would be a one-game exhibition matchup in which it didn't count towards the standings, but it would be played just for fun and all that. I know that you see the picture of Jeff Jul1. I'll get to that in a sense. So anyway, between 1978 and 1986, the Jays and Expos would play each other. It ended up being 3 wins for each team with 2 ties. The one tie in 1979 was a tie. It was a 4-4 tie in the exhibition game because of the fact that Montreal had moved to another stadium to play their game and all that. The other tie was in 1985 when the Blue Jays had to catch a flight for their next game. So that was it. Montreal won in 78, 80, and 82, whereas Toronto won in 83, 84, and 86. A lot of people said that 1983 matchup between Toronto and Montreal in the Pearson Cup actually turned the tide around and made sure that Toronto had the better Major League campaigns going forward. Montreal would slide. Anyway, so then it became huge. When Major League Baseball finally decided, hey, you know what? Let's have interleague play. So that meant that teams in the American League would take on teams in the National League. They basically said they would do it with crossover, East versus East, and all that. So that meant that the AL East of Baltimore, not Tampa, sorry, because Tampa didn't say it. So yeah, Baltimore, Detroit, the Yankees, Jays, and Bo Sox would play NL East teams like Atlanta, the Mets, Montreal, of course, Florida, and Philadelphia. So you would have the Battle of New York, Boston and Atlanta being rivals, because, the Braves franchise used to be in Boston. And then when Tampa came in, they would have the rivalry with the Marlins. So it was a perfect time. So the Jays and Expos would play each other in a 3-game series, which was huge and all that. The first game of the 3-game series at the Skydome in 97 was an epic one. On June 30th, 1997, Pedro Martinez out-dueled Pat Hankin, and the Expos won a narrow 2-1 win. Now let's talk about the 1997 game, why we're here today. So July 1st, 1997, the game started at 2 o'clock Eastern Time, which is weird for a Blue Jays home game to start at 2 instead of like 1 or 1:30. In front of 50,000 fans at the Skydome. This game took 2 hours 26 minutes to complete, which was actually pretty impressive. But anyway, the Expos and Blue Jays would play each other. The starting lineups were that, Jeff Jul1 would face Roger Clemens, a great matchup. Jul1 wasn't that bad. He was 9-2. Clemens was 12-2. And Jul1 grew up in Massachusetts, idolizing Mr. Clemens. Anyway, the starting lineups were this. The Expos had Mark Grudzielanek at short, Mike Lansing at second, F.P. Santangelo at third base, David Segui at first base, Henry Rodriguez in left field, Vladdy Guerrero, senior, in right field, Brian McGuire at DH, Rondell White center field, Chris Woodger catching. Of course, playing in an American League park, you had to have DH. The Jays countered with Otis Nixon in center, Orlando Merced in right, Joe Carter as the DH. Carlos Delgado at first, Ed Sprague at third, Sean Green at left, Charlie O'Brien catching, Alex Gonzalez playing short, and Tilson Brito, the immortal Tilson Brito, at second base. So, in the first inning, after a single by Epi Santangelo, after the first two outs of the game, David Segui hit a double. Unfortunately, Sean Green misplayed the ball and didn't keep the ball in front of him. That meant that it easily got Santangelo across the plate, 1-0. The Blue Jays had nothing going. They had a runner on third when runners on the corners when Ed Sprague came to the plate and hit a pop fly down the third baseline, which F.P. Santangelo somehow, in some way, got it before it reached the stands. So that was it. So after a Vladdy Guerrero ground out, and a Ryan McGuire walk, which led him to try to steal second base, which he got caught, Rondell White took a 2-2 pitch and hit it to right center field. Gone, home run for Montreal. Rondell White was a pretty good hitter, 2-0. The Blue Jays had nothing going for them and all that. The Blue Jays were out 1-2-3. Second inning, 1-2-3. Third inning, 1-2-3. Fourth inning, 1-2-3. Fifth inning, 1-2-3. Sixth inning, 1-2-3. In the seventh, 1-2-3. The Expos were trying to threaten in the top of the eighth with runners on second and third. F.P. Santangelo with a weak ground out that couldn't get the run because they were aiming for the plate. A David Segui strikeout and a Henry Rodriguez ground out when the Expos were up 2-0. Then they decided to put Joe Orsulak in the game. The Expos did for Henry Rodriguez. Why Orsulak? Anyway, Jeff Juden had things going his way. He was shutting them down. Only one guy got on base for the Blue Jays, and that was in the first inning. But unfortunately, Jeff Juden ran out of gas, and on an 0-2 pitch, he thought he could get Sean Green out, and he threw another fastball. Green lifted it to right field. Right center, and it was gone. Home run, Blue Jays make it 2-1, so they cut the deficit in half. Not only that, it ruins Jeff Juden's no-hitter. And that was the first time someone got onto Juden since the first inning. Unfortunately for the Blue Jays, that momentum struck out. O'Brien and Gonzalez struck out. Brito flew out. The Expos got to Clemens. A Ryan McGuire single spelled the end for Clemens, and Paul Quantrill, the Canadian, came in, and on a 0-1 pitch forced Rondell White to hit it to a 6-4-3 double play. Now the Blue Jays were up in the bottom of the ninth. Otis Nixon whiffed. Orlando Merced got a single, and then Felipe Alou said, "That's it. I need to win this game." So Juden, who threw a lot of pitches, was out of the game, and the fans gave him a standing ovation. Well, there were a ton of Expo fans along with Blue Jay fans, but Jeff Juden had pitched 14 strikeouts, which was amazing. Urbita came in, got Carter strikeout, and Carlos Delgado hit a deep drive to right center that almost tied the game, but it died at the wall. And the Expos win one of the greatest games of all time in a matchup between the Expos and Blue Jays that was meaningful. The Pearson Cup was exhibition series. The Expos won 2-1 and took the first two games of the three-game set. The bad news for the Expos was that the Blue Jays did win the third game of the set, but it didn't really matter. But the Expos had to do it in 13 innings. The Jays had to do it in 13 innings. And the worst part is the Expos and Jays only played 3 games against each other. They should have played more than 3. It should have been 6 or something like that. In 1998, the Jays and Expos played 4 games against each other. 2 in Toronto, 2 in Montreal. And the Blue Jays won all 4. And then they went to the 6-game home and away format. So that means you play 3 games at one stadium and 3 games at the other. The Blue Jays would go on to do pretty well. They won. They had 4 out of 6 in 99 and 2000. 2001, they split the 6-game series. 2002, the Expos actually made it 4-2. Won it 4-2, but the 2 teams would be 3-3, 3-3. So the Blue Jays overall won 24 times against the Expos, 19 in regular season games that counted. However, the big thing for Montreal was that they held Toronto in check at Stade Olympique. Toronto and Montreal had 10-10. Well, in 2004, the Expos actually ended up playing their home games against the Blue Jays in Puerto Rico. Should have been in Toronto. I mean, in Montreal. I mean, why would you? I know you want to send the team to Puerto Rico for some games, but why the hell would you put like Expos Blue Jays in Puerto Rico? But the big thing for the Jays was that they were 14-9. And all that. So anyway, the Blue Jays looked pretty good and all that. So who can blame them? And that's why the Blue Jays stay. Well, not really, but you know what I mean. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. Adieu, and happy Canada Day.